Hey guys, welcome back to my little channel. And I've been offline for a while. I haven't really been focusing on the things that really are important to me. And if you've gotten to know me over the years, you know that there are very specific platforms and areas that I'm just really passionate about. And tribal politics and our native politics and social system in terms of like our native corporations are really something I pay attention to, because what I've noticed happening, and just a quick recap if you're not familiar with native corporations. So basically a very, 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 very small, less than percent of the native population in Alaska signed away our tribal sovereign rights. Okay, and this is a very basic overview of what ANCSA is and how native corporations got established. So basically in 1973, ANCSA was enacted, and it was basically the federal government recognizing that the indigenous populations were here in the state of Alaska, that they just purchased some a little bit before, and they didn't know what to do with all the native populations aside from relocating many from the prime properties. They then in turn said, well, we'll give you some land in exchange for that. And the problem with that is you had a very, 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 very small few men who signed all that away on behalf of the whole entire indigenous population up here in the state, which was problematic as you look at it now, because most native people had no idea what was happening. No idea that that's what it meant. And so when they were told to go to like City Hall or their AMB Hall or whatnot and sign this paper and stuff so they could get shares, they were just doing it because they were told so, I think. And so that's the basic story. So now fast forward a few decades, you had boards of these corporations historically where they were just thrown on them, and they had no business running a corporation. So many of our corporations gave away prime property, land, businesses because of that. And we lost so much over that because you had people sitting on those boards who either were self-interested or really had no business acumen whatsoever, right? So now fast forward. So it's 2020. And basically many of our native corporations are behaving as if they started the corporations themselves. So traditional corporations, as you know, require a very heavy financial investment or some sort of intellectual investment to even be considered to sit on the board, right? That's not the case with native corporations. So if you don't know, voting as a native person of these corporations and even tribes is very problematic. It is not democratic. It is not at all. And if anybody tries to tell you it is, they're lying. Because family, I equate it to the mafia. You've heard me saying this before. So we're like the tribal native mafia, because the larger the family, the more shares for that family, the more votes they get. So it is not a fair and equitable process. So that's how you get kind of the same generations sitting on boards or becoming CEOs and whatnot. And that's a problem, because they only exist because people like us, individual shareholders like us. Now, if you follow the money and you look at things in the big picture, you will realize you ain't getting squat. Being a shareholder, unless you know somebody or related to somebody, and if this hurts your feelings and you're one of them, too bad, because there are so many other shareholders and generations that we are missing out or losing out or struggling. And so I don't really care if your feelings are hurt. So right now, Sealaska, and yes, I'm going to pick on Sealaska right now, but it's kind of universal. You may be noticing that a article was published about the top, I think, 10 or 20 highest paid native corp CEOs, management, whatever. Sealaska had 3 of them on that list near the top, each making over $1 million. But your children, my kid, who graduated high school, good grades, wanted to go get her welding certificate, had to apply for multiple scholarships and a hope and a prayer and money from us to just get to through welding school. And thank God for Clinton Haida. They have their problems, and trust me, nobody's exempt from this scrutiny. But if it weren't for Cloaquina right now, in terms of Marge stepping up to get my daughter some shares from her grandpa, I don't know how we would have done it. I don't know how she would have done it. But here's my problem. So you got Sealaska giving themselves $500,000 bonuses, and you can't afford to pay. You still want to give my child a measly, what was it, $1,300 for this school year for her trade school? But you have the nerve to sit there and give yourself those disgusting bonuses. You don't even funnel jobs into our rural communities. You don't. And then you create this slate because you know they're a group thing. They think like you. They're going to agree to the same thing. That's what happened at the last year. You had independents running that. If we just counted those votes, they would have won. But no, you threw as a board all your discretionary votes to them, to that person, to Barbara Blake. That's the only reason she won. So now I ask you, we sit here and we look at the people you hire in your management position. I'm looking at the amount of students you've actually fully gave money to go to trade school. But we do notice, and I'm not the only one, that names matter. Not everybody is getting the same opportunities. So shame on you, Sealaska. And don't get me started on that spruce root. That is the biggest sham ever. And the initial concept of it was great for the native shareholders. But for some reason, somewhere, somebody convinced you, hey, let's partner, but let's keep throwing money there and let's make our people compete with everybody else, even though we intellectually know that they historically, socioeconomically, financially have barriers that most other groups don't have. So here's my point. If you're a shareholder, and I don't care how many votes you have, and you're of a younger generation and you get it, you see what's happening, you get a hold of your parents, you get a hold of your grandparents, and you tell them to stop throwing their votes blindly. Beg them, tell them to let you vote for them. We have to stop voting the same dang groupthink people in those positions. And because our people overall are hurting. We have become a disgusting display of westernized culture that I can ever express. Like right now with all this COVID stuff, I didn't get 1 ounce of help from no corporation, from nobody. And don't tell me, did you ask me, did you apply for a loan? Why should I have to apply for a loan? None of you management, none of you CEOs, none of you board members had to apply for crap. Everything I did in this shop was on my back. Everything. And I got thousands of dollars invested in this. And so when I had to close up, nobody reached out. There was nothing. The biggest thing you could do was have the nerve to say, hey, you should compete in Spruce Root. It's just for minorities this year. No. How about you change your business model? How about you really become about the shareholders and the common shareholder, and stop hoarding all the money and act like it was your money that got it started in the first place? So this is my plea. All you shareholders out there, whether it's 5 votes, 100, get a hold of our parents' generations and our grandparents, because they are the ones that have been perpetuating this cycle. They have learned, because of assimilation, to just accept the door prizes and the balloons and the early bird drawings. They don't understand the numbers and all that other stuff. I mean, yes, some do, many do. But I'm talking about in situations like this with Sealaska, we have some, and I remember some of you guys coming through here. Your platform was about small businesses. Nicole Hollingstad, I think you were one of them. And Mike Howard, I think you were another. BS. You did crap for me. You did crap for me as a small business owner, and I don't endorse you. You want to know who I endorse? And I'm taking a huge risk on that because trust me, I ask people. The only people I endorse are one, independents, but these two people, Vicky Soboleff and Karen Togg. Karen has a phenomenal record with her finance and scrutinizing stuff. And Vicky, I've watched her really scrutinize things, and that's how it needs to be. And the jury, you know, I'm hoping that my instincts are right with that one, but those two, that's where my votes are going. So I implore you, other shareholders like me, stop the bleeding. Stop just allowing this discretionary crap to go on, because if we haven't witnessed right now, we have a serious class war amongst our own people, and it's disgusting, and it needs to stop. We need to start seeing more money put in, not into these 8A companies that they're getting rich off of, but into our own communities, into our own rural communities. I mean, when I'm seeing you making donations to food banks and whatnot, great, but what you're basically saying is our people need food banks, so we're going to give them to the food banks. No. If you really cared, every shareholder would have at least got maybe, I don't know, a $200 gift card to spend as they see fit. So just stop. So please, shareholders, vote independent. Talk to your parents, grandparents. Really have those conversations. Do not allow discretionary anymore. I'm voting for Vicky. I endorse Vicky. I endorse Karen. And I hope you will be heard too and speak up and stop letting just this ridiculous native corporation game continue. Peace, guys. See you later. Thanks.